Hi guys, welcome back. It's Matt here, and this is my session for target 271105. I was blind to the target. My first part of this session, I sketched this plume, this AOL facing smoke. I was getting this perception of this billowing plume graduating outwards. Wrote down facing smoke, like the idea of a waft. And on the right hand side, sketched a few little things. It is AOL of an anchor. And that's all I was getting at this part. Right, moving on, this next part, I was getting this idea of this like thick atmosphere, sort of static in the air. Sketched a few things at the top, objects, I'm not quite sure what they were. At the bottom I was getting this idea of like this hole possibly, like a vortex sort of feel. I wrote down triangulate, like the multiple parts to this. And I wrote down a weapon question mark, and that was that. At the top here, I sketched a few things. Just getting this motion, this idea of this direction going into this thing, like similar to what the previous sketch. I wrote down shot across the bow. Don't know where I was going with that one. This idea of this thing folding in on itself. I wrote down the bottom left, folded escape, constantly moving. This perception of this thing like constantly folding in on itself was strong here, and that was that part. In this part, I was getting this bridge perception with this ring around it. And on this bridge, there was doors. I wrote down doors to where, and I was getting this idea of another dimension question mark, like a bridge that leads to somewhere else. I had a break after that. A bit of time went by and come back to it. So I got back into this. At the top, I was getting this AOL of a screen. I wrote down almost like a cockpit. Below, this perception was like multiple, not just one of those bridge things with a gate, multiple ones. I wrote down multiple areas, a big operation, like a huge setup this is. I was getting an AOL like a drive-in movie, so there's like there's a big area involved with this. Very strange, didn't know where I was going with it. So multiple areas, big operation, huge setup, and this idea of these big doors, gates, or screens, and that was that. This is my second session on this. I sketched this thing in the middle, this fuzzy object, and I AOL this funfair tube on the right. I was getting this perception of being in this tunnel that's constantly turning, like one of those trick of the eye things. You're in there, turning tube. And a bit of a sketch at the bottom of another similar thing. And that was that for this part. For this next part, I sketched these gates again in this this enclosed area. It reminded me of like something from Rome, where the Colosseum, where you're in this circular area, this walled or confined. At AOL of a holding area, like people are waiting in there, and there's like a holding area where you have to wait in there, and there's gates, possibly the same gates as the things before. I don't know. But it's a definite holding area for the people to go through these gates. Here I was getting this gate again, this doorway with this thing, a track going through it, but hitting this solid curve. I wrote on shield dynamics. I was getting this perception of fights a barrier, where things hit it and then they're trying to pierce it, and energy fights a barrier, I wrote down. Trying to break it. That's like this curved barrier. Energy tries piercing it, in and out like that, and the more you put through it, the more it goes through it. An energy perception. Next sketch, I had this bridge perception again. This thing like trying to bridge a gap. I wrote down bridging a gap, like a person sort of arching over, but it wasn't a person. I think that was just a subconscious perception. Something trying to bridge something. That's what I was getting here. I was getting this idea here of like heavy industry, system diagnostics, these power banks related to this bridge or industrial unit or whatever this is. Big industrial holding coils I wrote down. So this is power related. Power stabilization, major power, big energy usage. And that's sort of what I had here. At the top, I sketched this object and I had an AOL of timeline modification. This person in overalls, like a worker. And I sketched this cube at the bottom. An idea of it like distorts time. And I questioned this and went on to probe it further. Further looking at this cube, producing a diagram, sketched this cube. I had this idea of this black cube with these funny symbols on it. The corners are missing off it, so it wasn't like a clean cut one. 3 symbols on the front that were down. It's linked to power, this. It's in some form of holding assembly. Placed in an assembly to generate power, possibly for these bridge things or gates. I had these perceptions of these entities with this thing on the head, this device. I would attach the brain, like an aid type of thing, not a birthmark. It helps them, allows direct comms, like I had this AOL of a neural interface, like AOL of an uplink, and that was that. Next, I had this idea of this hazmat suit, AOL hazmat, AOL flamethrower. This person's job was a cleanser, like a form of security linked to this. It's very strange. He had some form of weapon in his hand. This is my last perception of this target. I was getting this scientist person, AOL square glasses, AOL scientist. He heads up the floor, wherever the floor is. Highly intelligent, very odd. And I was getting this AOL of Florian, where there's a name linked to him. And that was that for this target.
Did you know, the Florian Triangle, literally translated as Zone of Demonic Triangle, is a stretch of sea that one has to cross over when heading from Water 7 to Fishman Island. It is covered in a fog so thick that it blocks out all sunlight. According to Kokoro, many pirate and commercial ships mysteriously go missing every year and, sometimes, a ship will be found sailing without any people aboard.